Good day, and thank you for tuning in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. For all of our new listeners and viewers who are tuning in for the very first time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio, where you can discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. And so we are here with you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know by now that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew this blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just ordinary water. This is Earth's finest water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by your giving on the contribution pages of our websites at NewLifeMinistriesInternational.com and NewLifeInternationalCDC.com, and those of you who use the QR code and the link that are available on Facebook and YouTube, we thank all of you for your commitment and your continued support as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, where you and all of your family, friends, colleagues, and co-workers will have the opportunity to hear from God, to receive daily divine direction. And I want to remind all of our listeners and viewers, we're Facebook Live, we're YouTube Live, we are RadioFreeNetwork.com live. Go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio, the drop box will appear, click on the New Life link. Every broadcast is available to you. And of course, you can reach us on YouTube at Daily Divine Direction. And while you are staying connected with us throughout the week, make sure you tune in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to our internet radio station, WKAP Faith Empowerment Radio, at WKAPfaith.com, where you can hear music that will encourage you, empower you, and inspire you to become the best version of ourselves that we can possibly become. And so I want to begin today by addressing a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you feel as though your marriage is coming to an end, and you have been married for 22 years, and you feel that you are no longer on the same page regarding your lives. So let me walk you through this, because it's real important that we understand where we are in our lives at all times. And one of the things you have to recognize is that people grow over a period of time. And you're talking about 2 decades. People grow, they change, there's ebbs and flows. The one thing I encourage everyone to do who is married is not make marriage a job. It is work to build a great quality of life, but making it a job, assigning chores, is not the way to go about having a successful marriage, because we all have to work every day. The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. So we all have to work, and we all have careers, and we all have professions. And you don't want to leave the professional environment and come home, and your home life then becomes a job also. So that's one thing that I encourage everyone to stop doing, because we've been doing the wrong thing for so long, we think it's the right way to do it. Marriage is not a job. It's just working together to build a great quality of life. So that's the first thing. And then let's examine where you are. When you say you're not on the same page regarding your lives, and this is one of the reasons that I tell everyone you have to develop a 7-year plan, a 14-year plan, a 21-year plan. Now, you said you've been married for 22 years, so by now you should have developed a 28-year plan, 35-year plan. And the reason is because you have to have a plan to work to build a great quality of life. If you don't have a plan, life has one for you. It's called failure. You've got to have a plan so that you know exactly where you're going. So that would be the strategic plan of your marriage. But then you also have to have a strategic implementation plan, which means you have to take the action to build a great quality of life. What's next, for the next level? So you two have to be able to sit down and communicate. And I get it, everybody's busy, so it may not require you to sit down, and if you're not, verbally combative, it may not require that you sit down across from one another in a particular space and look each other in the eye and have communication. That's a whole different topic that I use for people who are in combative situations, verbally combative situations. But for this, all you have to do is communicate on an ongoing basis. And little things that are said will give you the guidance because it's coming from your spirit. So remember this, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So whatever in your heart, if you can share that in a way that it will bless the hearer, in other words, it will be something that will inspire your spouse as opposed to disrupt the peace of your spouse, you're going to be in a better frame of mind. So you say you're not on the same page regarding your lives. What often happens, and let me share this with all of our listeners and viewers because this is real important. What often happens is people get married, they have children, the children go through primary school, they go through secondary school, they graduate from high school, they go off to college for higher education, and upon graduation from college, when you've paid for them to go to college and they've completed the college, if they go to grad school, there's a couple more years they're involved in watching over them more or less. But the reality is that then the end comes. And you find that you've grown in so many different ways that people begin to say, well, we don't have anything in common anymore. People begin to say, I've outgrown my spouse. I'm no longer equally yoked with my spouse. Well, if it's your spouse, if you're concerned about them not going to the next level, you have to help them go to the next level. See, the reason we have approximately 50%, actually it's a little more, divorce in America is because people have now found that divorce is easy, particularly if you don't have a lot of assets involved. So, and I'm not talking about just owning a home, because that's something that can be resolved relatively easy. Either you buy one another out or you sell the home and split the proceeds. That's not the issue. People have found it very easy to get divorced if they don't have significant amounts of assets and holdings. It's as easy as I'm going to walk into an attorney's office or call an attorney's office first, schedule an appointment, show up, and talk about how I can exit this divorce. Developing an exit strategy. People find it real simple. And so consequently, divorce happens. And as I said, generally, divorce happens because the person that we joined ourselves to is not the person God appointed for our lives. So let me touch on that for one moment. So the Bible says, what God joins together, let no man set aside. If God joins it together, no man can set it aside. The problem is that often we marry people who are not appointed for our lives. We marry them because we like the way they look. We marry them because they're successful in their career. We marry them because, of a whole lot of different reasons. But in the end, it should be, is this the person that God has set aside for my life? Is this the person God has prepared for me to be equally yoked, and walk together in agreement. Now, in your case, I'm going to say this, God has joined the two of you together. You're equally yoked. The reason you're out of step is because you want to do certain things that your husband doesn't want to do. That doesn't equate to divorce. That equates to compromise. Let me tell you what compromise looks like. Either you're going to do the things you enjoy and your husband's going to do the things that he enjoys, and the two of you are not going to be at conflict about it, or you're going to try some of the things that your husband enjoys doing, and your husband's going to try some of the things you enjoy doing. So maybe your husband doesn't like going to the ballet. Maybe he doesn't like going to the opera, but he's willing to go once or twice a year. He has no issues with you going if you want to go with your girlfriends, but he'll go with you maybe once or twice a year just because it's an outing that you would enjoy doing. Well, it's the same thing. He may enjoy bowling, I don't know. he may enjoy archery. Maybe you're willing to try that a couple of times, and even if you don't enjoy doing it, you don't complain when he goes to do whatever he wants to do, whether it's axe throwing or go-kart riding or whatever it is he wants to do. The point is, you don't have to be headed for a divorce just because you both enjoy doing different things. You just find the time that you can do the things that you enjoy doing, even by yourselves or with other friends. It's okay. The problem is society has taught us that we have to do the same things or we're not compatible. We have to agree that we're going to go on date night once a week and vacation twice a year, and that's not reality. Because if we're going to maximize our success, it's going to require work. And the reality is, God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. On the seventh day, he rested. So we really need to be putting in 6 days in what we're doing. All of us, to not only become successful, but to maximize our success. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be in the office 6 days a week. You may have to be in the office 5 days a week, but at home, you need to put some homework in. Some work in that says, okay, I'm going to do this at home that's related to my career, my professional life, and then that one day that I rest, I'm going to do some things in my home that are going to enhance the environment in which we live. That's all we can do, because we all have the same amount of hours in every day. It's how we manage our time that's going to allow us to be not only successful, but to maximize our success and experience the fullness of God. There's nothing else wrong with your marriage except what's going on in your mind. And that is that because society has made you believe that this is the way your marriage should be conducted. So consequently, you're trying to live within the parameters of the thoughts of society, and that doesn't work. Everybody's relationship is different. And we have to decide what's really important to us. Is it really important to us to go our own way, or is it more important for us to build a great quality of life? They may not be synonymous. Because you may go your own way and find out that it's not better out there than it was in here, in the life that you have with your spouse. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. So if you're not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill. T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you really want to improve your professional career. And your question is, what would be the easiest method to do that without going back to school? Okay. So, one of the things that you've all heard me say this before, and I've even preached about this in a sermon at our church, New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. Service begins every Sunday at 10 a.m. Come and experience a better quality of life. Okay, now having said that, here's the thing I've always said is you don't work for the job you have. You work for the job you want. So let me really walk us through that today so that everyone has clarity and an understanding on what that really means. When you never work for the job you have, you already have the job that you have. You're working for the job you want. So the way that you do that, and I'm going to give an example of how you work for the job that you want. So in your case, you indicated you're a sales manager. So, as a sales manager, your responsibility is to determine the annual unit and gross profit plans. You implement the marketing strategies, you analyze trends, right? You're establishing sales objectives by forecasting, developing annual sales quotas. You're projecting expected sales, profit for existing products and new products to come in the pipeline. Okay. So think about this. You already are doing that job. You're looking at your team and you're maintaining professional and development and technical knowledge. You're doing all of the things that are necessary. And I tell people this all the time: pull your job description and do your job. That is known as job security. That's first and foremost. But we don't want to just survive the job that we have. We want to thrive and work for the job that we want. So as a sales manager, you've got to maintain sales volume. And if I'm leaving anything out as I'm going through this, just know that, charge it to my head, not my heart. Okay. So you have planning to do to ensure that you achieve the targets. You've got to manage and develop your sales force. There are specific responsibilities as the sales manager. But if you want to become a sales director, you can't continue doing just the sales manager's job. You've got to make your current sales director's job easier so that they can then move forward and perhaps become a VP. And then when they move forward, you move forward, in most cases. So you've got to look at what is the job responsibility, what is the job description for the sales director. So creating strong relationships with internal and external customers, right? Working closely with your internal teams on marketing strategies and materials and trends and case studies, understanding the competition and the market trends, and effectively communicating with external partnerships. You've got to really get an understanding of selling prices and monitoring cost and the competition, supply and demand chains. You've got to really get an understanding of what the director is going to be doing. And you're also, in addition to your sales manager, analyzing revenue and cost and expenses, these are all things that the director has to do, plus forecasting, planning, and examining buyers markets. There's so many things And then developing an implementation strategy for not only the sales team, but if you've got regional or national employees, that's a responsibility too. And then of course there's the reporting and the analytics, and you've got to really understand that a director's got to be up on the KPIs and the opportunity pipeline, the opportunity waterfall. There's so much going on that is at the next level, that if you really want to be promoted to the next level, you have to begin to take on some of the responsibility of your director. Find out how you can help with database management. Find out how you can, do some research on the quality of the market and sales information so that you can share it with your director. In other words, you're trying to make the person you report to, you're trying to make them a star. Because if they shine, you shine. You want to make their job easier so that they then get promoted and then you get promoted. Or if an opportunity comes up in another territory, that you are considered for that because your current director knows that even though you're going to be now their colleague, you'll share information with them. You never work for the job you have. You already have it. You pull your job description and you do your job. But you got to work for the job you want. And the only way you can work for the job you want is to make the life easier of the person who's above you. You've got to do those little things, those little extra things that can be done to make their life so much easier. And that's what I mean when I say you're not working for the job you have, you work for the job you want. If you do that, you will improve your professional career, you will continue to thrive, and you will move forward. This segment of the broadcast has been brought to you by PorscheAmerica.com. If you are in the market for a new Porsche, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, go to PorscheAmerica.com. You will find a dealership in your area, and you will be able to search through the website at PorscheAmerica.com and design your own Porsche at PorscheAmerica.com. And if you're in our area, you can go to PorscheDelaware.com. You can check the inventory that they have available, both new and used. Contact Mike Didio, General Manager of Porsche Delaware. He will make certain that you are taken care of, that you have the opportunity to check over the inventory, see what they have in their floor plan. And if they do not have it in stock, they will make certain that you order the vehicle that is of interest to you. And if you already own Porsche, one of the finest high-performance automobiles ever manufactured, and you're just in need of service, contact Porsche Delaware. Ask to speak to Mike Adams, Service Manager. They are one of the sponsors of our annual Achievers Golf Tournament. Ask to speak to Mike Adams. They will schedule an appointment for service for you, pick up your vehicle at your home or office, drop off a loaner, and return your vehicle to you at your home or office when your service has been completed. PorscheDelaware.com. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you always feel as though you never have enough money, and you want to know what can you do to ensure that you have what you need every month. So here's the simple form of this. It's called budgeting. So I don't care how much money you have, everyone has a budget. Just think about this. Let's review this for a moment. Some people will say, I will not spend over $1 million on a home. I will not spend over $80,000 on a car. I will not. You budget and you place that on a line item. You know exactly what you want to spend. And there are specific categories. If you do not have a budget, if you email me at newlifepastor@comcast.net, I will email you a budget. Front and back, fill it out. It will give you the guidance that you need to make certain that you always have more money than you have a month. Now, having said that, when you're budgeting, the easiest thing to reduce your budget, reduce your expenditures, is to reduce your entertainment costs. That's the easiest thing to do. And let me tell you what that looks like. That means that instead of going out to eat 4 times a week, every other day, you cook at home, and maybe you only go out on the weekend, to dinner on the weekend. You've already reduced your entertainment expenditures. Let's say you go to the movies once a week. Well, instead you go to the movies every other week. You've reduced your entertainment expenditures. Let's say you hang out with your friends a couple times a month. Let's say you reduce that to once a month. There are ways to cut your entertainment expenditures that will reduce your budget. And then you have to be more effective and more intentional about your expenses. So, one of the things, everybody's talking about the price of gasoline. That's been a topic for quite some time. So let me use that as a real example, because that's real time for people. You've got to drive your car. Let's just keep it real. Unless you're going to ride a bike everywhere you go, you're going to have to drive your car. So it's not a matter of, am I going to drive it? It's a matter of being intentional how you drive it. And so I often like to use an example, and I can't, off the top of my head, I want to say it's UPS. One of the logistics companies, one of the delivery companies, they schedule their routes to only make right turns unless absolutely necessary. They schedule for that purpose, that they're going to make an intentional effort to make only right turns. And the reason they said that is because if you have to make a left turn, you have to wait for traffic both ways, which means you're idling. And it's not that it's costing so much to idle at one corner, but if you have to do that for 8 to 10 hours throughout the day, there's going to be some additional cost of burning fuel costs. So their routes are navigated with the purpose of trying to make only right turns. And it's because that's an intentional method to reduce fuel costs. But you also have to be, intentional about just daily driving habits. Look, so I'll share with you. My wife and I laugh about this all the time, because anytime we need to go someplace, we're always thinking of the route we're going to go before we leave. And the reason is because we understand that if you make all your stops in one direction, which leads right back to our home, then we know that we're being more efficient. We're being more, and for us, it's not just the cost of gas. It's just about the environment. It's, we're trying to reduce our carbon footprint. Now, I have to confess, my wife got me a little more conscious about reducing the carbon footprint. I've always charted out which directions I'm going to go, just because I'm intentional about my time. But and time management is a part of that. But she was talking to me about our carbon footprint. So okay, we developed an implementation strategy to make certain that we're more conscious about that. There are ways to do that. But when you email me today, newlifepastor@comcast.net, I will email you a budget. Fill it out on both sides, but don't just fill out the budget, follow the budget. You've got a plan, work the plan. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. www.dailylivingword.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace.